You can't have a standard education and expect to have an extraordinary life. It's not going to happen. The one breakthrough for all leaders is constant, never-ending improvement. And that means educating yourself and continuing to develop even greater emotional mastery, because that's what affects whether you execute or not. What people desire and need today is specialized knowledge. Listen to me. Self-education is how you can go as fast as you want in the world. If you're going to go a standard education, you're going to get standard results, which are usually pretty disappointing. But we're living in a world now where these colleges, they're like hedge funds with a university attached. There's 111 colleges in the United States right now that have over $1 billion endowment. Harvard just the other day raised $9.6 billion for what, 30,000 classmen, 40? I don't know what the number is. It's crazy. And people go into debt, and now they got to try and pay that debt off. We want to compete with a traditional education with self-education. Self-education is what changed our lives. Self-education took me from a kid in Azusa with no role models, with frustration, overwhelm, and stress, and I don't know what to do, saying, hey, I can find the answers, and if I can solve them for me, I can learn to do it for other people. Now I have the privilege of working with millions of people all over the world, 10 to 15,000 people in my events, like clockwork, all over the world in 100 countries. All that's because I got self-educated. So we really wanted to show you an opportunity how you can take whatever knowledge you have or someone else's knowledge that you learned from. I started out as a knowledge broker. There was a man named Jim Rohn. He was a teacher. I went and heard him speak. He changed my life. He taught me fundamental things. He taught me that for things to get better, you got to get better. For things to change, you got to change. That success leaves clues, that you don't have to wait and learn in a standard way. You can learn on your own dime, in your own time, in a way that allows you to accelerate your success. But his knowledge, his skill sets, that environment changed things. So I went and promoted him. I didn't know how to promote, but I learned how to talk about it and get people enrolled. And then I went out and learned to become a reporter of other people. I went, and even today, in the last 6-7 years, I've interviewed 50 of the smartest financial people in the world, all self-made billionaires. I took the knowledge from Warren Buffett. I took the knowledge from Carl Icahn, from a variety of the best on earth. And what I did is figured out what they did, and I taught it to other people. I taught it to myself and took my little 50, 100 million companies to now we have 54 companies. We're doing over 6 billion, and I don't have any traditional background. So much of our time that keeps us from succeeding is because we fill our life up with stuff that really doesn't matter, or it's so damn urgent, but it's not important. And most people fail because they do all the urgent crap not important. I know you know this intellectually. If you can be honest with yourself and say, all these things look important, but they're not. I need to look at the things that really matter. Concentration of power is how you become powerful and successful at anything. When you're focused on a million things and you're trying to do them all, it's not gonna work. When you concentrate and say, these are the most important things in life, these small number of things, I'm gonna put my energy and my focus into that, that's when your life will change. Everything in my world is based on coming up with the outcome that will serve and then going at it, but most of the time your approach going at it doesn't work. No one else knows that, but you can see it doesn't work, so it's constantly changing your approach until you can get where you wanna go. When I enter an audience and I'm gonna give a talk of any sort, I do a huge amount of homework in advance, I prepare, I see who's there, but then when I stand up here, I wouldn't be sitting like this, I'm scanning constantly, and who I'm looking for, the people think it's bullshit. I'm going after the people who got dragged there. I'm not looking for the people clapping for me. Those people will always be there, and there's some people who clap even if you're terrible, so you don't want to let other people's view make you feel good. I'm looking for who isn't there so that I can reach them, so I can show them that there's something real here. Because most people don't know who I am. They'd see 10,000 people jumping in a stadium and they go, oh, it's just a big motivational pump up. I've never been a motivator. It's never been what I've been about. I think motivation is useful. It's like a warm bath. You should probably take a bath or a shower every day, but you need more than that. You need strategy. But what I really believe is energy. Most of us grew up, and right now, most of you are learning in the traditional style you did even when you were in school. You were trained to go to your seat and be silent and be polite and nice. But the world we live in today isn't like that. The world today, if somebody sits down and waits for someone to tell them what to do, they're in trouble. So my approach is constantly stimulating and seeing what's real, getting people to be raw, and getting to truth. As corny as it is, the truth sets us free, and we all can find our own truth as long as we put ourselves in an environment where we don't tolerate anything less than that.
If you should and you could and you don't, jot those little phrases down. Should, could, don't. Here's what we call that. Formula for disaster. And all you've got to do to start now the process of life change is start somewhere. And it doesn't even matter where. You can start with good health or you can start with something else. The key is to start by saying, I'm going to start the process in each category of finding by my own research. And that's why seminars are so valuable. That's why information is so valuable. That's why somebody willing to take the time to share is so valuable. is to help boil it down in some form to the half a dozen few things that takes care of most of it, and then let me get on with practicing it, and where you start doesn't matter. The process of life change can start with as simple a process as an apple a day, which means I'm on the road to cleaning up neglect. I'm going to walk around the block. I'm going to get the next book of my new library. I'm going to get a journal. Shove taught me to keep a journal. He said, don't just let ideas get by you. Don't trust your memory. If you're serious about really becoming an entrepreneur, if you're serious about affecting other people's lives, if you're serious about fortune, if you're serious about wealth and health, if you're serious, start collecting ideas. Go over them and review them. Then make them a part of your life and practice, and don't ever look back. That formula helped change my life. Brought me to where I am today. And I'm so delighted now to have the opportunity to go around the world telling the same story that I heard when I was 25 years old. There's a few basic things, and if you practice them every day, I'm telling you, there's no reason why you can't have the health you want, the relationship you want, the fortune you want, the money you want, the income you want, the sophistication you want, the culture you want, the prestige you want, the influence you want. All of it is wrapped up, I think, in a nutshell of what I've just explained to you. A few things. Now, let me give you one more part of it. Here it is. Once you've found the few things that makes the most difference, now spend most of your time working on those few things. That now is another part of the clue. The first part of the clue is to get the information and consistently practice it. But here's the rest of the formula. Spend most of your time on it. The reason why a lot of people don't do that well is because they major in minor things. They spend too much time on things that don't count much. And they spend too little time on things that would count. So jot this formula down. If the equation is wrong, the results can be disastrous. If the equation is wrong, the results can be disastrous over a given period of time. Here's a guy in the last 10 years who's bought 2,000 donuts and 2 books. And this guy says, you know, my life isn't working well. Well, anybody in this audience could give him a seminar, right? Once we knew these numbers, here's what we might suggest to this guy. Hey, this may be one of your major problems. In the last 10 years, you've spent too much money on donuts and not enough money on books. You've spent too much money feeding the body and not enough money gathering food for the mind. And it's not the miracle of your body that works out your future. It's the miracle of your mind. But if you nourish the body and neglect to nourish the mind, I'm telling you, you're going to have all kinds of problems and all kinds of difficulties. So we would suggest, one of our suggestions in our seminar to this man would be, in the next 10 years, spend a lot less money on donuts and a lot more money on books. Food for thought, bread for the head, we call it. You got to have ideas that feed your mind, not just your body. And the miracle of the mind is so fabulous to work out your future, to give you all the equities you could possibly hope for, to give you every dream and every treasure you could possibly want for you and your family and the people you care most about. It's all available. But it is a very basic, simple process. Once you've found the few things, spend most of your time and money working on those few things. Okay, we call these basics.